Hi, I'm here to show you a big stack of books. I think it's 17 books here. When in New York, exciting to have good bookshops around. This video will be like kind of a compilation of books that I've just bought for myself, books that have been given to me, books we found on the street, and then also books that I bought for my partner. In the end, it's still a lot of damn books. And yeah, so let's go right in. Also, we've seen 26 apartments in the last 2 weeks. So if you have any spare prayers and yeah, good apartment energy, please send it our way because I don't know how one damn person has an apartment in New York and it's proving to be like pretty psycho. In the meantime, running between seeing apartments all day long, we have been doing quite a lot of reading on the subway. Okay, so let's start with the book that I'm currently reading, which is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. With an afterword by Sophie McIntosh, and this is translated by Ross Schwartz from the French because Jacqueline is from Belgium. I don't know how much I'll go into each book, but this is like a post-apocalyptic novel about 40 women who are imprisoned in a cage deep underground. And they're not sure how they got there. Their sense of time is completely, their notion of time is all fucked up. And yeah, they have like very vague recollections of the lives they lived before. And the 40th woman is the youngest, and she's kind of our protagonist. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's very fascinating. Very, very, very fascinating. It gives me kind of women talking handmaids kind of vibes, but a lot less violent. Like, it's just strange. Like, why are they imprisoned? How did they get there? It's on the back, so it's not really a spoiler, but they do end up getting out and needing to kind of deal with, like, what is the world outside, like what is this strange place that they've been for so long removed from. The one thing that I have to say is that there's no chapter breaks, and not even barely like there's no breaks as well between the paragraphs, meaning like, yeah, there's no spaces on the page. And when you're like reading on the train or you're moving around, like it's like that thing inside me that wants to like come to a stop or like come to a finish or something, and you don't have that in this book. So that is interesting and kind of frustrating, but I'm really, really enjoying it. Okay, then I got yesterday the few books from Three Lives in Company, my fave bookshop in the West Village. Shout out to Sarah, who works there, and who we met through her watching my videos, and I walked into the shop one day, and now we're friends, so it's great. Sarah's amazing. She has amazing taste in books, and yeah, just like dream job working in that bookshop. Anyways, so I was in there, and I picked up 3 books. One, The Anthropologist by Bicycle Savage, I think that's how you say her name. I don't really know what this is about, but I've seen it making the rounds. I read White on White, her other novel, like a few years ago. And yeah, so I was excited to get to this, and I've been seeing it. It's a very like intriguing cover with the finger. And then I opened the jacket, or like I opened the book when I got home yesterday, and the first sentence is, Asya and Manu are looking at apartments, envisioning their future in a foreign city. As the couple dreams about the possibilities of each new listing, Asya, a documentarian, gathers footage from the neighborhood like an anthropologist observing local customs. And I was like, that's literally my partner and I looking at 26 apartments. So that's perfect. Yeah, I don't really know. Unfolding over a series of apartment viewings, late night conversations, last rounds of drinks, and lazy breakfasts. Love. The Anthropologist is a soulful examination of home building and modern love, written with distinctive elegance, warmth, and humor. And my partner really wanted this book, and was walking around with it in the shop, and then eventually was like, oh, I'm just reading too many things right now anyway, I shouldn't buy like anything else, I'll just buy this notebook. And like I very stealthily put it in my like with my stack of books. So this is The Coin by Yasmin Zaher, about a wealthy Palestinian woman with impeccable style and meticulous hygiene, and yet the ideal self, the ideal life, remains just out of reach. Her inheritance is inaccessible, her homeland exists only in her memory, and her attempt to thrive in America seems doomed from the start. Yeah, I think my partner Ohad was like interested in reading something about an immigrant in New York. So yeah, I've seen this also around. Sarah said she just read it, and I think CJ, it was like for CJ's book club. And yeah, but just have seen really good things about it, so I can't wait to get to that one. I bought Mammoth by Eva Baltazar, the Catalan poet that has this triptych of novels, Permafrost, Boulder, which I'll show you in a second, and Mammoth. So this is the newest one. Mammoth's protagonist is a disenchanted young lesbian. She's inexperienced, irritated by life, eager to gestate, and determined to strip everything else down to essentials. She seduces men at random, swaps her urban habitat for an isolated farmhouse, befriends a shepherd, nurses lambs, battles stray cats, waits tables, cleans house, and dabbles in sex work, all in pursuit of life in the raw. That sounds very Eva Balthazar. This small bomb of a novel, not remotely pastoral, builds to a howling crescendo of social despair, leaving us at the mercy of Eva Balthazar's wild voice. Yeah, very excited to read this. I just bought Boulder like last week at the Strand bookshop here in the Upper West Side. So not the huge, like really famous location that's like really huge and overwhelming. It's like a smaller branch that's right here. And I loved Boulder. Like I really, really enjoyed this. So I have not yet read Permafrost, but I have it with a stack of my books that's still in Tel Aviv, and I don't know when I'm going to get those books, but anyway, I just felt weird. I feel weird buying any books that I know that I own, even if they're like across the world and I'm not sure when I'm going to get them again. It just feels kind of like a waste for me. So yeah, I got Mammoth, loved Boulder, about a cook on a merchant ship who falls in love with this woman named Samsa, and Samsa calls the main character Boulder as a nickname, and Samsa gets a job in Reykjavik in Iceland, and Boulder goes with her, and they kind of are settling down into this house, and Samsa decides that she really, really wants to be pregnant and have a child. And for Boulder, it's like really not at all what she wants. So she finds herself dragged along a journey that feels as thankless to her as it is alien. I'll talk more about this in a wrap-up video soon, but yeah, I thought Eva Baltazar's writing is just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Very, Sarah also texted me like very woman on the edge. Like her writing is very like tipping over a very, very, very steep edge, and like has a roughness to it. So yeah, I enjoyed this. If you want like a queer female exploration of intimacy and motherhood and like wildness in relation to like relationships and like building a home and a house with a partner, like yeah, it's super interesting because Boulder is just so, is such like a wild and free, you know, she just wants to be again a cook on a merchant ship where she kind of has no ties to anything, and then to find herself madly in love but not want those ties. So what does that do to her? And it's really, really great. And then Ohad gave me Dog Songs, Mary Oliver, and I read this in a few train rides. Yeah, exactly what it is. Poems about... Oh, I was going to show you my pup, but he has moved out of the frame. About our relationship to dogs and how beautiful they are and how life-changing they are. And actually, I was so moved by this book. Like, I'm in love with my dog. I'm obsessed with Jacob. Jacob is just like everything to me. And this just like struck a nerve. Really beautiful. Like, what's more heartwarming and sweet than Mary Oliver reflecting on our relationship with our dogs? Okay, then I bought Don DeLillo's The Silence. I don't know why I was in the mood for Don DeLillo, but I was. I think because some of his books are very small, and I did enjoy The Body Artist very much a while back. I did read this already. I was underwhelmed. I can say, like, yeah, I can just spoiler alert. I didn't really like it, although it did have a quality to it that I couldn't look away from, or like I couldn't stop reading it. He does have something sort of strange and like bewildering about his writing, which I remember as well from The Body Artist being quite fascinating. I just kind of liked the concept or like the story of The Body Artist more. So I enjoyed the style of this, like the way that he does his storytelling, but just was less connected to like the story. I picked this up. I've never heard of this book. It's called Pink Slime by Fernanda Trias. She was born in Uruguay, so this is translated from the Spanish by Heather Cleary. And yeah, I was really drawn to the cover and yeah, just the typeface and like whatever kind of oil soap like marbling there is, which I'm just realizing now there's a little bird here. This is a dystopian novel about a mysterious plague that has that is like an algae bloom, and it's like poisoning the sea air. So like there's these gusts of wind that come in from the sea and like infect people. And so our narrator says stubbornly tends to her few remaining relationships. Her difficult but vulnerable mother, with the ex-husband for whom she still harbors feelings, and with the boy she nannies whose parents sent him away even as terrible threats loomed. Yet as conditions outside deteriorate further, her commitment to remaining in place only grows, even if staying means being left behind. An elegy for a safe, clean world, Pink Slime is buoyed by humor and its narrator's resilience. I got about 40 pages into this, and then I just had a really crazy week of work and apartment stuff, and then I just like kind of couldn't get back in it. It's quite poetic, like the language is quite decorative and poetic, I would say, and like immersive, so I felt like I got a bit too out of it, so I need to just kind of either start it again from the beginning or just commit to it. And then at the same time I bought Pink Slime, I bought The Material, a novel by Camille Bordas. A single momentous day transforms the lives of students and professors at a school for stand-up comedy in a novel that elucidates the irreconcilable... Okay, honestly, a word like irreconcilability is just intense. Elucidates the irreconcilability of learning and living, of performance and being. That's Rachel Cusk saying that. Can comedy be taught? Someone at some point seemed to think so. The Chicago Stand-Up MFA program has enrolled young comedians for nearly a decade. We're following like a cast of different characters that are in this MFA for stand-up comedy program, and examines life through the eyes of a reluctantly assembled ensemble, a band of outsiders bound together by the need to laugh and the longing to make others laugh even harder. It says also profound, deeply engrossing, dark, and generous. A great novel about humans making art right now. Stand-up comedy, I would say, is not at all, like, I never watch stand-up. I've never been to, like, a stand-up show. I rarely watch, like, comedy specials as well on, like, the TV or on the computer. So I think with a lot of people that have been talking about this book, like, oh, Rachel Cusk is blurbing a book about comedy. That feels so strange. If she blurbs anything, I'm going to read it. She says here, what begins as a clever conceit becomes an interrogation of sadness itself. I guess because we know as well, where there's comedy, there's darkness. Where there's laughter, there's sadness. So yeah, I think I'm putting this off for a little bit because I know there's going to be like many characters and we're going to be dealing probably with like a lot of dialogue and things like that I don't normally, that feels a little like out of my comfort zone. Sorry for the New York sirens. Seems really interesting. I think I might actually really love it. We'll see when I get to it. 3 books that I got in a used bookstore called Troubled Sleep, that's in Park Slope in Brooklyn. Sophie told me that that's a great bookshop, and I was on my way to her place, to Biblio Sophie's house, to have martinis, and I just happened to stumble on the bookshop, so I was like, I have to go in. So I got The Year of Magical Thinking, a play by Joan Didion. So of course I've read, I have it right there actually, The Year of Magical Thinking, but this was a one-woman play based on her memoir. Vanessa Redgrave was the actress. That was in 2007. So I was just really curious about that, and I didn't know that it was a play. On the acting thing, I also have been like looking at this book, and I think it was like $1 on the $1 cart. It's a book on Meisner acting technique, the actor's art and craft, by William Esper and Damon DeMarco. William Esper teaches the Meisner technique, so this is, like about acting. And then this I've read, Swimming Home by Deborah Levy. I love this novel. It's probably, it's my favorite novel of hers that I've read. I really love her nonfiction, which I'll show you in a second. And of her novels that I've read, I really like Swimming Home the most, and I've been wanting my partner to read it, so I also saw it for $1. So I thought that was like a very good very good find. I have to go see an apartment in like 5 seconds from now. I'm probably already late, so I'm gonna really blast through the rest of these. Deborah Levy, Things I Don't Want to Know, The Cost of Living. I bought these for my partner because they're in the middle of a writing course. And they've read Real Estate, which is the last one in the series of her living autobiography series, but they haven't read these two. So I picked those up at the Center for Fiction in Fort Greene in Brooklyn. This is a book that was given to me by my friend Riley. He's been like talking to me about this crazy ass novel, J.G. Ballard's Crash. For a while, like this very, very controversial kind of cult postmodern novel. And yeah, so we saw each other recently and he brought me a copy. So I did start reading this on the train. I got 3 chapters in, very intense. It is about shocking blend of violence, transgression, and eroticism. Yeah, I don't even know how to talk about this book yet. I would need to read it in order to speak to you, but it is like following a character that gets a lot of like erotic pleasure from imagining car crashes or attempting to crash cars, and violence, and like, yeah, it's very, very disturbing. So Crash. We can talk about this at a later date. Bodywork by Melissa Febos. I also bought for my partner, on the vein of writers talking about writing. Loved this. Read this in one airplane flight a while back and just thought it was amazing. So I'm really excited for my partner to read that. And lastly, we saw Lolita just left on the street. So, and I don't have a copy of Lolita, so we snatched it. Thank you for watching. Have you gotten any new books lately? Have you been trying to not buy many books? What are your library acquisitions? Tell me what's new on your shelf. Gotta run. See you in apartment number 27. Wish me luck. Ciao.